It took Google an obscenely long time to finally launch a smartwatch, but we did get one last fall, the Google Pixel Watch that launched right alongside the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro. Of course, I reviewed it here on this very channel, and I found it to be a fairly decent watch. It does a lot of things very, very well. My biggest problem with it, though, and the reason I stopped wearing it relatively quickly, would have been the battery life. Now, for other people, that's not going to be nearly as big of a problem, right? My wife actually began wearing that very same Pixel watch as she was daily driving the Pixel 6a, and she's the kind of person that does not want to do sleep tracking, and because of that, she just charged that watch overnight, and every morning it was fully charged, and she could use it for the full day just fine. Battery life, not an issue for her. But for me and for a lot of other people, the fact that you can only get reasonably about a day's battery life if you do sleep tracking, you're waking up with a nearly dead watch, and the charging was frankly too slow to be able to charge it while you were in the shower or something like that and get a fully charged battery, unless you're taking like a 45-minute long shower or something like that. But who's got the money for those water bills, am I right? But even still, the watch did sell relatively well. I think it did better than a lot of people expected it to do. And even with a very, very old processor, it actually did perform reasonably well. Now, today we have reports surfacing that a Pixel Watch 2, a sequel to this watch that took Google 27 years to actually produce, may be in the works for this year, set to be launched alongside the Google Pixel 8 and 8 Pro. Now, there's a couple of really obvious places where this Pixel Watch could and should be very, very much improved over the first generation version that we got. Now, the first obvious one is by swapping out that system on a chip, because the Pixel Watch was in development for so long that the processor it actually ended up shipping with was the Exynos 9110, a processor that actually debuted all the way back in 2018. This was a 4-year-old processor by this point. Imagine buying a smartphone with a Snapdragon processor from 4 years ago. You know, you wouldn't really call that a flagship now, would you? A lot of people complained about that. This was not a cheap watch, yet it was using very, very outdated hardware. Well, they could simply jump up to the Exynos W920, which is what is rumored to be being used in the Galaxy Watch 6 series, or they could jump up to the Snapdragon W5 Plus, which is apparently going to be what Mobvoi and some other watchmakers are using in their watches coming this year. And of course, moving up from 1 gig of RAM to 2 or 3 or even 4 would make a substantial difference in performance. But to go back to that processor, going from the Exynos 9110 to literally anything else should help alleviate the Pixel Watch's biggest problem to some degree, and that is the battery life, because these newer processors are far more efficient than they were 4 years prior. Simply switching to that newer processor, maybe adding some faster charging, could put you in a place where maybe it lasts a day and a half, a place where perhaps you can charge it over the course of a 15-minute shower and have another full day's charge ready to go. I don't believe it's going to make it suddenly a 2 or 3 day watch like we have seen from Samsung and Mobvoi and companies like that who have employed all sorts of tactics like gigantic batteries or like dual layer displays to squeeze out co-processors as well, in the instance of Mobvoi, to squeeze out multiple days of battery life. But still, a newer system on a chip could improve this thing dramatically. Now, like I said, it's rumored that this thing will debut with the Pixel 8 series this fall, but of course, Google I/O is only 1 day away at the point that I am filming this, and the rumor is the Pixel Fold will actually be shipping with a free Pixel Watch. They're included in your purchase, but it will be the last gen Pixel Watch. And this definitely might make people feel a little bit salty. Again, they're buying a very expensive tablet folding phone. They're getting a very expensive free watch that I think is a decent watch, but oh, it's last year's model, and the New Year's model is probably going to be a whole lot better. I'm sure that's something new for people to complain about, looking the gift horse in the mouth, so to speak. Folding phones are just very expensive, and the fact that they're going to apparently give you a smartwatch with it should make you feel a little bit better, even if it's not the newest model, which doesn't actually exist yet. But at any rate, I'm sure that's something that's going to be talked about a lot. Of course, there are some other obvious things they could do, right? They could try to increase the size of that screen, have it bleed over the edge a little bit more. Of course, they could also simply pack in a larger battery. There's plenty of things they could do to improve this Pixel Watch, in addition to more RAM and the newer processor, which I think are just painfully obvious at this point. But I'd love to hear what you guys have on your wish list for the Pixel Watch 2. Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe for more content just like this, and make sure you're here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern for the Google I/O event, because we will be live streaming alongside that event. Come watch that with me and hopefully a whole bunch of other people. Guys, I will see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.